I've spent 4 years immersing myself in sales, influence, and persuasion, specifically closing high ticket deals for online businesses and influencers. And if there's one thing that can change your life forever, that's high ticket sales. So, in this video, I'm going to break down 7 of the most powerful tools you can use to dominate a sales conversation so that you can use it in your next interaction and simply close more deals. The first tool is what's called the why frame. Sometimes we get pushback or friction in the process of getting specific information, not because someone doesn't necessarily wants to answer, but because it's information they are uncomfortable about. And because of that, they can either not give us the answer or not give us the real answer. So, what can we do to increase the likelihood that we actually get an answer and that we actually get a quality response? Well, we use the why frame. There was a study that they made called the copy machine study, and they did it in a library. And essentially, they would go into a queue where people were waiting to do some copies. And they wanted to test the likelihood of compliance if you ask to skip the line versus if you ask to skip the line with a valid reason versus if you ask to skip the line with a non-valid reason. So no reason, valid reason, fake reason, so to say. So in version 1, they did, hey, I have 5 pages. I need to make some copies. Can I skip the line? So just simply asking to skip the line without any reason. Version number 2 was giving a valid reason. Hey, I'm in a rush. Can I skip the line so I can make the copies? Do you mind if I skip the line to make some copies because I'm in a rush? And then in version 3, they tried a fake reason. They say, hey, may I skip the line because I have to really make these 5 copies? Or, for example, you can say, hey, can I skip the line? I really need to make these 5 copies and they're very important. Is that possible? It's not really like a valid reason. And here were the results. No reason versus real reason. Massive difference. There are a couple of things here as well, which is, hey, if you never ask, you're never going to get the answer. So ask the question. But here's the thing. If you give a strong reason, a valid reason, you're going to get more people to say yes. There are some psychological triggers. If we hear a reason, we're just more likely to comply, more likely to say yes. When they gave a fake reason, the results were very, very similar. So the conclusion is we have to give a reason why we're asking the question that we're asking, and immediately we're going to increase the likelihood of getting a proper response. But if on top of that you give a strong real reason, the likelihood of you getting the real answer goes through the roof. So how can we apply this in our conversations? It's very simple. Well, first of all, the tougher the question, the bigger the reason needs to be to increase the compliance. And important note, you're not giving a reason in every single question you're asking. We're talking about important questions where you really, really need this person to be real. So we have some light reasons that you can use as well, which is just so I understand, just to make sure I'm getting this correctly, just so I can really make sure that I'm seeing things from your perspective, just so I make sure I'm the same page as you. Things like that, good. And then you ask the question. So it's a why frame. You state why you're about to ask a question, and then you ask the question. Just so I don't forget about this. You see, just so I don't forget about this, it's not really like a deep, strong reason. It's just a light reason. Again, remember, it's better to do this than to do nothing. Now, you want to really, really leverage the power of the why frame? Use strong reasons. So, in order to determine if this can work for you, John, I need to know, boom, question, or I need to know you're wanting to triple your income, right? So I need to know how much are you making right now, profit. For example, to be able to properly analyze this, Melissa, I have to ask this question. If fixing this is truly important here, then we need to explore this. Boom, this is the why frame. Use it in your next interaction. Focus on giving strong reasons, and the likelihood of them giving you a high quality response is going to increase. Now, what happens if you're watching this and you're like, I'm already doing this, I'm already using this, I'm still getting friction on certain questions? Okay, there's one thing that you can do at the beginning of the interaction that is going to increase the compliance rate. It's one thing that you do, and now the person is going to be more likely to tell you to answer any of your questions and to answer any of those questions with pure honesty. So I'm going to share what that is in a moment. So even if you're using this, there's still one more thing that you can do. But if you're not using it, boom, you already have room for improvement here. Now let's get into tool number 2. Tool number 2 is what I like to call sniper questions. The problem that it solves is that oftentimes it takes 3 or 4 questions to get to the truth, to get to the real answer. And what tends to happen is that this makes the conversations unnecessarily long. So how do we fix it? With sniper questions. What are sniper questions? Well, have you ever been in situations where this is what happens? What brings you to the call? Blah, 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 blah. they don't give you the answer. What was it about the ad that attracted your attention? Oh, I want to make more money. Do you know what you're looking for with wanting to make more money? You see, it's just like 3 questions we still haven't gotten the real answer. So before going to examples, here's the thing. A sniper question is created with the 111 method. So there are 3 things that you need to put in your question that convert it into a sniper question, okay? There needs to be, number 1, 1 question at a time. This is very important because it's crazy the amount of times that I see closers asking 2 questions at the same time. And that just creates confusion, because if I ask you 2 questions, then you don't know which one to answer. So it's very important to have one thing and one thing only that you want to ask and that you want to get clarity on. Number 2 is 1 superlative, the biggest, the most important, the weakest, the number 1. Okay, you need to incorporate a superlative in your question. And number 3 is 1 element to clarify, 1 specific element, 1 reason, 1 problem, 1 goal, not multiple reasons, some problems, some goals. Okay, it's 1 question, 1 superlative, 1 element that we want to clarify. Here are some examples. So what is the main outcome you want to achieve this year by becoming a cybersecurity expert? It's not what was it about the ad that attracted your attention. It's not what brings you to the call today. No. It's 1 question, 1 superlative, main, 1 element to clarify, outcome. Okay, so what is the main outcome? What is the main result? What's the main goal you want to achieve this year by becoming a cybersecurity expert? Boom. It's going to put their focus where it needs to be. Well, I want to have more freedom and I want to be able to become financially independent. Boom. You just save yourself like 5 questions. Another one. What's the biggest reason you want to start an e-commerce business? What's the biggest reason? Biggest is our superlative here. Reason is the number 1 thing. It's not what are some of the reasons you want to start. No. What is the biggest reason? Boom. And now they're forced to think with those requirements. Another one. What's currently the biggest bottleneck preventing the business from growing at the level it should? This is for a B2B environment. What's currently the biggest constraint preventing the business from growing at the level it should? Biggest bottleneck. Cool. Now, before we keep going, this is exactly what I teach inside of the RCS Academy, inside of the RCS Elite program. And these are some of the results people are getting by implementing these dangerous tools. Like I'm telling you, it's not some tips that we put together. This is literally what we do every single day. And here you can see results. Brian got a paid in full using these tools that are embedded in our framework. 3 out of 4 today. 4 calls, 3 closes. David, 22K deal in an hour conversation using these techniques. Oh, and by the way, if you are already doing this, if you're like, I'm already using sniper questions, I'm asking 1 question, 1 superlative, and 1 element to clarify. I'm already doing this. I'm still having sometimes to just go in circles. If that is the case, okay, there's 1 more thing that you can do that is going to take this to the next level. There's 1 more thing I'm going to share with you in a second. We'll take it to the next level. Number 3, let's get with the tool number 3. This is huge. It's what I like to call the point of no return. What does that mean? And most importantly, what problem are we solving? Not enough urgency to make a change. Have you ever been in a situation where it's like, man, this person doesn't have urgency. It sounds like it's not really important. Leading people to the point of no return is going to make sure that you build urgency into the call, because with urgency, they take action. Okay, so how do we do it? Well, we need to increase the emotional gap of the pain of the current situation. So the problem they're experiencing right now and the pain they're experiencing right now, we need to increase that pain. The more we increase that emotional gap, the higher the urgency to act now. And once we get to a certain point, there's going to be what we call the point of no return. Because all businesses are, and all businesses do, is offer solutions to problems. That's why businesses exist, and that's why we exist. So essentially what we're doing is people are giving us money and we're giving them a solution to a problem. If there's no problem, there's no reason, no purpose for us to talk about a solution. So it all starts in a problem. So when we talk about the emotional gap, we're talking about the bad emotions, the negative emotions associated with the problem they're having. So the higher the emotional gap, the more urgency you're going to get. And that's why I call it the point of no return. Because once you've gotten to a certain amount of pain that you've extracted, you hit the point of no return. And when you do that, there's no way they can continue to be in the situation they are at because the pain is so high, so big that they have to take action. And to illustrate this, imagine these two bars. Okay, here's a graph. This bar right here represents the cost, pain, the discomfort, if you will, of the current situation. In B2B, for example, if we're selling B2B, we're going to be talking about cost. In B2B, we don't talk about pain, we talk about cost. This problem is costing the business money. Okay? In B2C, in business to consumer, we're talking about pain. So we have current situation and there is pain, cost, or discomfort associated to where they are right now. And then we have the pain, the cost, or the discomfort of the solution. Because even me giving you a solution, it requires some discomfort, it requires some pain. You have to do new things, you have to learn a skill. If I'm selling something where you have to learn something, there's some pain, some cost. There's also cost associated with the solution and some discomfort associated to it. So this is what these two bars represent. So here is the law of the point of no return. The pain, the cost, or the discomfort of the current situation needs to be 4 times greater, 4 times higher than the pain, cost, or discomfort of the solution. If we can get to a place where we facilitate a process that lets them to realize, lets them to conclude that the pain of the current situation is at least 4 times higher than the cost of the solution, they will act. The human brain will act. And this is for everything, not only for sales. The human brain takes action when the pain of the current situation is 4 times or more greater than the pain of the solution. It's a no-brainer. It's like, if I stay here, I'm going to experience pain 4x than if I experience this amount of pain once, during the process of solving this, and then I don't get to experience all of this anymore. So the point of no return is at 4x. Okay, what does that mean, Paul? Like, how can I implement this? Okay, imagine that you're selling something that is $10,000. Okay, I'm going to put you an example with the B2B offer, which is very simple to see. Imagine we're selling a service that is $10,000. Well, we need to facilitate a conversation and ask questions that lead them to conclude that the problem that they have right now is at least costing them $40K every single month or $40K every single year. Doesn't really matter. Well, $40K every single month is even stronger. $40K every single month is if you stay here with the problem, or you invest $10,000 once to fix this problem and you get back this $40K. It's a no-brainer. Now, this is the point of no return. But if you are even able to leverage this and take this to the next level, instead of 4x here, you're at 4x here, you can build more gap. You can build more emotional gap and take this to a 10x. And actually, I'm going to show you exactly how you can do this, because this is one of the seven tools I'm going to be sharing with you. But imagine that you are not only able to take them past the point of no return, but you're able to build more gap. Then look how tiny the cost of the solution is. It's like you cannot even see it. And this is how you eradicate, think about objections, any kind of a smoke screen, really, because they cannot stay here. It's too problematic. It's too painful. This is ideal. This is good if you're able to do this. Now, what you never want to do is this, okay? This is what kills sales. This is what doesn't allow you to help people, because you haven't facilitated a conversation that brings enough awareness, that brings enough clarity. It's not that the bar is not here. It's that this doesn't exist. It's that they don't see it because you haven't been able to facilitate that awareness journey. And at the end of the conversation, your solution is $5,000, but the emotional gap that you've created is only $7,000. And here's where you get all the value objections, all the think about it, and whatnot. You don't get them to the point of no return, you will lose the ability to help them, and you lose the ability to close a deal. So how do we do that? We have to focus on what's wrong now. That's where everything starts. Current situation. People tend to generalize things, talk about the past, talk about what they've tried. No. We need to focus on what's going on right now. First, we start building a gap based on what's happening now first. And only then, once we have clarity about the problem right here, right now, only then we can go into the past to increase the emotional gap. By the way, remember the one thing I mentioned that you can add to your sniper questions to really take it to the next level? Let's take a look at this right here, because it's actually very related. And it's the concept of now. Is the concept of the present moment. So I'll put you an example here of how some people might use the sniper question. They focus on what we covered before. What's the biggest reason? One question, one superlative, one thing to clarify, which is good. One thing that you can add to your sniper questions is the element of right now. What's the biggest reason you want to start an e-commerce business right now? Right now, what's the biggest bottleneck preventing the business from growing at the level it should? Not 6 months ago, not 3 months ago. I don't need to know that right now. I need to know what's going on in your life right now. And then from there, once I have something in the present, then I can go into the past to increase it. But it all starts in the present. That's super, super important. And also, they are more aware or on what's going on right now. They have more information available of what's the problem right now. Awesome. Let's move into tool number 4. This tool, I love it. It's called the snapback summary. I'm going to show you a transcript of a closing conversation, and then I'm going to explain to you what's going on and why that is a problem and what do we need to do about it, okay? This is very, very common in the closing world, the high-ticket sales world. Let's just pretend that this is a cybersecurity career offer. People wanting to transition careers, and there's an academy. Cool. So, closer goes. You mentioned a minute ago that you don't have as much freedom as you would like. Can you give me an example? Prospect goes, yeah, it's just the shift I have. I'm working most of the time, so I can spend time with my family the way I would like to. Closer, how many hours are you working per week? Prospect, around 50 hours a week, but it's industry standard. Everybody does it. Closer, got it. When you say spend time with my family, what specific moments or situations are you missing out on because of your shift? Give me an idea. Prospect, the usual stuff, being able to spend time with them in the evenings, having dinner together as a family, that kind of thing. Closer. Why specifically having dinner together as a family is something that is important to you? Prospect. Because those are the moments where you really get to connect as a family and I can show that I'm present and that I care. Closer. When was the last time you were able to sit down at the dinner table with your family and have one of those moments? 3 weeks ago. Closer. 3 weeks ago. How so? Prospect. Yeah, 3 weeks ago, I got a project that got canceled, so I had extra time. I didn't have to go to work, so I had the full weekend, and it was great. Closer. And how often would you like to be home for dinner with your family? Ideally. Prospect, ideally every day or at least more consistently, but it's fine, They know I'm working hard for them. It's not like they're mad or anything. It's just that stuff keeps coming up. Closer. I hear you. Okay, let me make sure I'm understanding you correctly. Before we go into the snapback summary, I want to share something with you. People, and we do this all the time, we tend always to minimize or justify bad behaviors. It's like a self-defense mechanism. We don't do it consciously. And that is not useful when it comes to us making a change because it's almost like when we have a problem, our brain tries to put makeup into the problem, make it seem that it's not that bad. And that is not useful because the more clarity we have about how severe the problem is, the higher is going to be the likelihood of us solving it. But again, the subconscious mind does that automatically. So now you can see in this example how there are situations, and this happens in every single interaction when it comes to high ticket sales. For example, how many hours are you working per week? 50 hours a week. But it's industry standard. Everybody does it. This sentence here is a minimization sentence. It's justifying that it's not that bad. Another one is this, but it's fine. They know I'm working hard for them. Another one is this. It's not that like they are mad or anything at me. It's just that stuff keeps coming up. It's just justifying statements. Again, they're not doing that on purpose. It's just what the brain does. So, what is the solution? Well, first of all, is very, very known in communication and high ticket sales, the use of summaries. Okay, doing summaries, doing recap after a chunk of information being collected. You want to recap. Hey, let me see if I'm getting you right so that you can ensure quality of communication. We all know that if you're not using recaps or summaries after collecting a chunk of information, definitely do that because it's going to increase your positioning. People are going to feel, oh, this person is listening. You're going to confirm that what you're listening is great, etc. But one of the things that you can do is you can introduce a snapback effect into your summaries, which will take your summaries to the next level and will help you close more deals. Why? Because a snapback summary allows you to showcase empathy, of course, 100%, but at the same time, it shatters justifications, which allows you to build stakes in the conversation. What does that mean? When you build stakes in a conversation, it makes your conversation a higher caliber conversation. It makes the conversation more important because the conversations that are important are the conversations that have the highest stakes. And you shattering justifications and revealing really how bad the situation is without being condescending or cocky build stakes. And that's what we want to do. We want to have a high stakes conversation because those conversations change lives. So, a just an average summary would simply be repeating back to the prospect what they just said. A snapback summary would sound something like this. Okay, let me see if I'm understanding you correctly. The main reason you're looking to transition into cybersecurity is because right now you're working around 50 hours a week at your current job, giving the best of your energy and attention to a system that essentially keeps you away from your family. Because of this, you're missing critical time with your kids, not because you don't care about them, but because you're currently stuck in a profession that drains and leaves you exhausted for what truly matters to you, which is being present and with your family. And as a result of this, your kids are missing out on the that you know you can be for them, and your wife, most of the time, has to deal with everything on their own. Is that accurate? And again, this is just an example. There are different language patterns here that it will be different or will vary based on your personality, based on the offer, etc. But the point here, what we're doing is removing that makeup. It's just removing that distortion of reality that people tend to do. And we just look at things for what they are. We really give the situation the stakes that they have, the real stakes. Like, we're not trying to make the problem bigger than it is. We're just trying to have them seeing for what it is. And if he's working 50 hours a week and he's exhausted, etc., whatever that might be, whatever the person said to us, okay, we just connect the dots for them. This is all about dot connecting. It's connecting the dots for them and then just giving them the dots connected and say, hey, is this true? And they get to confirm it. And if they say, well, I mean, yeah, it's true, but it's like a more dramatic view. Well, is true or is it is a dramatic view? Like, what would you say? No, it's true. It's true. It's just like I've never seen it like that, or I never thought about that. Okay, what goes through your mind? Well, it's worse than I thought. How do you mean? You see, it's just like you build stakes. Okay, and again, it's not that you're doing a magic trick. It's like it's either there or not. They give you the dots, you connect the dots. That's what we do here. Okay, Paulo, but how can I do this? Like, how specifically, tactically, do you have a step by step? Sure, let's get into it. So, number one, listen. This is very, very important. Just listen when the prospect is speaking. You have to be present because you have extra work to do. It's not simply listening, is you have to see the dots. You have to listen. You have to listen to what they see, and then you also have to listen to what they don't see. Number two, collect specific data. Don't allow them to generalize. Don't allow them to go to the past. Don't allow them to go to give you like, yeah, sometimes, or I believe. Just can you put me a specific example just so I can better understand? Boom, I'm using the wireframe. When was the last time? How many times have you trained last week? If it's like a weight loss or whatever, right? When was the last time that you ate this bad thing for you, whatever that might be? Can you walk me back to a specific moment? How many of these moments have you had in the last 30 days, in the last week? Okay, specific timelines is what's going to really, really allow you to see the dots, see what they see, but also what they don't see. Ask why it matters to them. Same thing can matter to someone and cannot matter to someone else. Or the same thing can matter to someone for a reason A and can matter to someone for a reason B. So always ask when they say something that you see that, this has meaning to the person, ask them why that matters. Explore the impact and the effect of that issue. Explore it. Even if they just share with you a little bit distorted, that's also going to give you more insights so to be able to do a snapback summary after collecting a chunk of information. And then again, understand what they see, but also what they don't see. And this comes with experience. The more experience you have, you will be able to see these things. So I'll put you an example, okay? What they see, I work a lot. I cannot spend time with my family. I'm missing out on important moments. That's what they see right now. Okay, that's what the brain does. What they don't see, my wife is feeling alone. My kids are growing up without a proper role model. I am missing out on experiences I won't be able to enjoy when my kids are 10 years older. So this is what they don't see. But you cannot say this to them. Like, you cannot say to them, your wife is feeling alone. You cannot say your kids are growing up without a proper role model. Number one, they're going to know. Okay, they're going to know, okay, like, you're just trying to put words in my mouth. But number two, it might not be true. So what you need to do is you need to ask questions to get the dots on top of the table. And then when you connect the dots, it feels genuine because it's a dot the person brought into the conversation. Imagine someone is working a lot and they don't have a wife, and then you just say this, and then they're gonna say, "What is this? Like, why are you saying my wife is feeling alone? I don't have a wife." Yeah, I'm putting you an extreme example. But how can we introduce this in our snapback summary without feeling that we're just forcing it, like actually doing it in a genuine, natural way? Well, we would have to ask questions to establish that there is a wife, to establish that this person is working all day. We would have to ask some questions to establish that this person don't get to spend time with their wife, what type of time, what type of experiences, why those experiences are important to them. And then you can say this. Does that make sense? Here's more that they don't see. My wife might get tired of this lifestyle. My kids will find someone else to look up to. I will regret having given the best years of my vitality to building someone else's dreams. Again, all of these things is what they don't see. So we need to ask them questions to bring up these dots and then connect dots with our snapback summary. Over time, you will develop the eye to see what they don't see, and your snapback summaries will become more and more powerful. Okay, tool number 5. This is what I like to call the Eminem line. If you've seen the Eminem movie, there's a specific part, I believe is at the end, where he wins by literally saying everything that his opponent was going to say to him. He said that first, made laugh of himself, removing the ability from the opponent to do it. That's how he won the battle. Now, what problem are we solving here? Lack of empathy. When a prospect says to you, like I said, I've said it already. I put that in the form. What they're also sharing is that they're not feeling understood. They're not feeling seen, heard, and appreciated. If you really want to master sales, influence, and persuasion, the last sentence you want to hear is, like I said, because that means that they're thinking, you are not listening. So, what can we do to avoid this from happening, especially, and this is where the Eminem line comes really, really handy, when we've asked a question, they've given us an answer, but we need to repeat the question because it's not the answer that we were looking for. Let's see an example, okay? What's the goal with wanting to make more money? Prospect. Traveling and having more freedom of time for myself. Poster. But what's the ultimate purpose? Right? It's like, well, I just told you I want to travel and have more time for me. You see, it's so easy, right? So what is the solution with the eminent line? Is using the word beside plus inserting what they just said, or beyond plus inserting what they just said. If we put in our question their answer, we're demonstrating that we're listening, and now they cannot give us that answer. So in this case, for example, well, I believe I have it here. There you go. Besides wanting to make more money, okay, I hear you. Besides wanting to make more money, what's the biggest reason you're looking to make this transition? For example, besides wanting to make more money, I guess, what else has prompted you to reach out for help with this specifically? Okay, these are just some examples. Also, you can use the Eminem line at the beginning of the call if you already know the classical responses that people give you that you don't want them to give you. So, for example, you could say, okay, besides wanting to make more money and having more freedom, because that's the biggest reason why people come to us, for you specifically, and then you ask the question. So by you doing that, now they cannot give you that answer. You have already put the answer on the table. Okay, so that's the eminent line. Let's go with the tool number 6, which is super powerful, the consequence question. The problem that we're solving with the consequence question is the biggest reason why most people are not capable to close a deal. And that is their inability to create urgency. Lack of need to act now. We need to take people from wanting to do something to needing to fix a problem and needing to fix a problem right now. So urgency is one of the most powerful tools you can use to help someone make a decision you know they need to make, and they know as well. And here are some examples that I want to show you. It's just not because I'm saying so. I just also want to put data. These are some of our RCS elite students, and here's what they're saying after implementing the power of leveraging urgency through consequence questions. You can pause it here, but for example, Roya is just literally stating, hey, I've been using the consequence question today. I closed $10,000 in cash, 100% close rate for today. Okay, so this works like a charm, and if you start implementing this, you're gonna take your conversations to the next level. So look at these two graphs. The difference between these two graphs is urgency, right? In this one, we already have a 4x gap, which is great. But if you take a look at this, is this 4x gap that has been built is built on present, which is what we stated before, paying now. And then we bring awareness towards the build-up. Okay, how long has it been going on, etc., right? And we increase the gap. You want to take it for a 4x to a 10x? One of the best things you can do is you can leverage consequence questions. Now, there are different types of consequence questions, but the essence of a consequence question is to bring the present pain that we have already explored the past about and splash it and projecting it to the future. That's what a consequence question does. Is this problem that you have right now that has been built up for all this amount of time, for all this time, and you've seen all of these negative impact, you're already experiencing the impact and the cost and the issues of these problems. What is going to happen if we continue to have this problem into the future? That's going to build massive amount of urgency. But inside of the consequence category, the consequence question, there are two things. We have the point of exhaustion, which you get clarity around this by asking, how much longer can you put up with this? How much longer can you sustain this? How much longer do you feel you can keep going at this rate? So it forces the person to think about a point of exhaustion. Is there's like a date into the future where like everything is just going to break. And then we also have the order of consequence question, which is when we really get to see the consequences of this issue. It's when we ask, what happens if this continues to go on and on and on, or this keeps building up for the next 3 to 6 months? Like, what do you see happening? How that's going to look like then? So one is how much longer can you sustain this? And the other one is what is going to happen if this continues to carry on and continues to build up for another 3, 6 months? What happens then? How does that look like? What are going to be the negative ramifications, or what's going to be the domino effect or the ripple effect of this 3, 6 months down the line? So that's number one, the power of using consequence question. Now, here's the caveat, and this is why what most people don't know. We cannot create urgency out of thin air. Urgency is preceded by a massive amount of pain. Here's what's up. The best closers only ask urgency questions when they know they're getting it. Not a single moment before. If you're able to uncover pain now and you can do a pain build up towards the past, you're almost there. But the biggest mistake I see is closers just blindly follow a script and just ask the questions for the sake of ask a question. So again, best closers are only going to ask for point of exhaustion, consequence questions once they've built enough of a good gap. Without an initial gap, you cannot drive urgency. Urgency is only available once we have a decent amount of gap built. So conclusion, urgency and consequence are great questions, super powerful, but only when we already have a good amount of pain gap built. Without that, it will barely have any effect. And now let's get into our seventh tool. The best closers don't sell the solution, they sell the relief. What do I mean by that? Let's take a look at this and let's explore problems versus urgency examples. And this will become really, really clear. So let's look at this. I want to show you 3 problems and just have this in mind. The best closers don't sell the solution, they sell the relief. So let's go with the first one. Look at this kid. This kid needs braces. That's a problem. But there's not a lot of urgency to it. Like, he can continue to go like this. There's not a lot of bad consequences to it. It's more like, hey, it will be great if I can have like more alignment and whatnot, but I can continue to go on with this. But again, this is still a problem. All right. Next one. Same situation in the sense that this person is not going to die tomorrow. He has a broken tooth, but there's not like a huge consequence. There's more urgency in this problem than in this problem. What can be this person worry about? He could be worried about how he looks, and that might drive a little bit more urgency. 2 problems, one is more urgent than the other. Now let's go with this one. Boom. And this is an infected tooth. Okay, this is now like a severe, there's an abscess here and it hurts really, really hard. These 2 don't even hurt. There is pain here, which is social pain, and what people are going to make laugh of me or whatever that might be, or I don't like how there's pain definitely here, but the pain here is real. So the question here is, which one of these 3, imagine like, 3 different people, which one of these 3 has a problem that has more urgency? This one. So which one is most likely to go to the dentist today? This one. Then this one, and the last one is this one. So this is the first because it is more urgent, then the second, then the third one. And that's what I wanted to share here. The best closers, they don't sell you the solution. Hey, your teeth are going to look this well. It's like, how much longer can you continue to feel this way? Like, how much can you put up with this pain? So they sell you the relief. Amateur closers assume the pain is there. They assume people are ready to give them money right then and there. without them having to, barely do anything. But just having some awareness of the problem or even an idea of the problem isn't enough in high ticket sales. Don't get me wrong, some people will come to the call already aware, but most people won't. And it's not about convincing them, it's about guiding them down or through a awareness journey so that they can realize what's truly at stake here. They can realize really what is the whole context, how important this is, how severe it is. Might not be severe, it might not be like that painful, and that's fine. Again, we're not creating things out of thin air. Is either there or not, but we have to uncover everything, and that's the biggest problem with amateur closers. They just don't uncover all that needs to be uncovered in the call. So how can you start leveraging selling them on relief rather than the solution? Well, you're still going to go through your presentation and you're still going to go through the things that you're offering as a closer. But in your discovery part of the call, in your conversations, it's all about creating that emotional gap in regards to the pain, to the problem, and really, really going down the route of asking the consequence questions and asking them how much they want to experience the relief of that issue rather than getting to a specific destination. Don't get me wrong, we're still going to cover what it is that they want and why they want it and what's the specific destination. But the whole central core pillar of the conversation is all going to be about, and this is a massive shift, is all going to be about relief. That's the key. Now, these 7 tools are very, very powerful, but only if used in the right sequence. Just like a recipe, the right ingredients in the wrong sequence is a guaranteed failure. But what is the right framework? How does it work? And how you can start applying the right framework today. I break it all down, plus this one thing I mentioned before about increasing compliance and reply rates throughout the entire conversation in the next video. Click here to check it out and let me know what you think.